Okay, so we're replacing the oil filter housing and gasket on the 2018 Audi S5, and it has the B9 3.0 turbo engine, which is the same for the S5, S4, SQ5, found in the A6, A7, and a bunch of Audi products.
Yep. These are some pictures of the undercarriage before we did the repair. As you can see, oil is just covered everywhere. At first we thought the oil leak was coming from the rear main seal because of the transmission and engine where it's mated together. That was like drenched. But then after looking even further, we could see that the front of the engine was soaking wet as well. So we looked up top and we could see the V of the engine, like the alleyway, was just soaked in oil. And it looked like it was like overflowing from that area and just spilling over the top of the engine. We got the replacement part right here. We got this part from the dealer. You do not want to get a non-OEM part with this. You got to stick with OEM. Some people can try risking it with only replacing the gasket, but I don't recommend it. Typically when you're doing any type of Audi or any European repair, you want to replace all the gaskets and all the plastics. Just because you want this repair to last.
Here's the part number.
Oh, we got the part number right here.
Okay, so first you got to pull off the engine cover, and then just put that to the side. And then we're going to take off the heat shield, which is just these 4 bolts. I believe they're 13 millimeter. This here and here. And then we're going to come down here, and then you've got, I believe, 6 bolts, and they're those. Yeah, those.
Yeah, because this is the part that's actually going to be replaced, and so at this point we're just unburying it. So yeah, we got to pull a couple of parts off to get this thing unburied.
These are hot. Alright, you gotta pull this pin off. Pull this pin off.
How do you pull this pin off?
I need a screwdriver to do it. You just wish I could do it with this. There we go. And then you see the turbo.
So we got that cover off. The part that's busted is the gasket from this plastic housing bolted onto the engine.
Maybe it's from over-torquing.
Yeah, and so what I think happened is, I think when the person did an oil change, I think they over-torqued this 25 Newton meter bolt here, and I think they tweaked that gasket down there. But if you look down here, the entire V is soaking wet with oil. It's even like, you can see the top of the transmission's wet with oil as well, but it almost looks like it's that cooler down there, that cooler gasket, just because of where the oil is at. But I'm really skeptical that that gasket is bad. I'm really thinking it's just this one gasket, and it's just overflowing, just drenching everything. And yep, you can see that. See how much oil is just caked down there?
It's caked. There's oil dropping down the front side from this area and also back into the V.
Yes, that's right. Yep, oil's dripping down the front of the engine, over the top, and then also on the back of the engine. And it's a pretty common issue with these cars. And so I think I can get away with only replacing that one part. Let me just get over here. Yep, it's just wet with oil. And I have pictures and more information on the undercarriage. The undercarriage of this car was just soaking wet with oil. It was drenched. So the next steps in getting this part unburied is going to be getting this wastegate all disconnected, and then we need to get this hose out of the way. So the first step to get this wastegate out of the way is going to be pulling this clip, and it's pretty complicated, but we just figured out how to do it. So yeah, go ahead and do it.
It's super hard to get under it, but
See that? You're just tapping it with a hammer, and then it went. Now we can pry it. It clips right off. Yep, that's what the part looks like. Yep, there it is. You can just put it, I guess anywhere really. Somewhere where it doesn't get lost.
this comes up. Pops right out. Take these off.
Okay, and of what? That was 10 millimeter?
10 millimeter.
Yep.
I'd love to drop this.
And then this wastegate actually has a vacuum line on it. You don't need to pull the vacuum line off. You can actually leave it attached. And then we'll just put the wastegate off to the side.
So if you can, make sure you do this on not a hot engine.
Yeah, this engine's boiling hot right now. So we didn't want to wait for the engine to cool down, so we're doing it when it's hot.
Oh, gotta take this cap off.
Yep.
Pull this out.
Yeah, you got to pull this cap off. And what size is that?
32.
32 millimeter.
Part of what potentially broke this was independent shop doing the oil change, torquing this too tight.
Mm-hmm.
I think I already got that. Oil may spill right here. Oh, never mind.
Yep, you can just put it off to the side, just anywhere.
Okay, now we need these. We need
Yep.
these oils. So it's just gonna be these bolts right here.
That's right. All right, so we're gonna pull this and these 3 bolts. These are T30. You do not need to pull the bolt down there. You can leave that in. So yeah, go ahead.
And this whole thing is coming off.
Now the whole bracket
That's
thing
what
tries to
we're
fall down.
And then so you have this. You don't have to do this bolt down here.
Yeah, you can leave
But
that
this
in.
line does go on the side of this and then goes into straight down here. You should be able to just pull it out. But we're gonna take off this thing first. And this is just a squeeze tab, and so you just push both sides and pull out. This pulls out, and then we're gonna try to pull this whole line out. And
One.
Okay, so this comes down into here and is hooked right there. So you pull this way and you push with a flathead and this pops out.
All right, so now we're just fishing it out. Yep, so now we're just fishing it out of here. It's actually a little bit complicated.
Just kind of twist and weave to try to pull it out. So there's this little pin. Get this past this hose at first. And then once this is out, you can kind of maneuver this.
Yeah, you're kind of rotating it too.
Yeah. Okay, there we go. So go clockwise, go down, and then I think counterclockwise to pull it out. So clockwise gets it down, counterclockwise gets it out. And then there you go.
Yep, and then we do not have to pull this line at all. We didn't have to do anything with that. This does have a O-ring on there, which we probably will not replace it on this one just because we don't have it, but
Focus.
if you're going to do this job, you really want to have that O-ring replaced. You don't want to reuse that. All right, now with everything out of the way, we got a much better view of everything what's going on here. Yep, and exactly like we saw before taking it apart, everything's just drenched in oil. The next step on this is just going to be pulling out these Torx bolts, and then we're going to pull the actual housing. We're just pulling these bolts off now. We got to get the 6 bolts around the perimeter, and then we also got to get this 1 bolt right there. All right, go ahead. What size was this again?
T30.
T30.
Just gonna loosen all of them first. And there's one back here, you just come in through this angle. Get that one loose.
I can see it.
Get that one loose. And then this one loose. Okay, now that they're all loose, just gonna.
And we have ourselves a magnet tool. You probably are going to want to get one of those.
After this is completely done. Okay. This one was the hardest one.
That's not the last one, is it?
No, there's one more. Last one is up top. Now, I'm gonna pull this top one off, because then it'll come out with the oil filter housing. Okay, that popped out. Oh, looks like there's a little bit of coolant. Or oil, I think. Coolant, oil, I guess.
Oh, is that right? Is that a coolant line?
So it looks like, I think so.
It almost looks like coolant, huh?
Yeah, it kinda does.
I don't even know what's in there.
Looks dirty, honestly. Anyways. Okay, so I'll just see if I can. I'm gonna move these over. And then I think we just pull straight out. Okay. Maybe that's why I didn't pull the other one out. Okay. So pull this out. Let's put this. We're gonna have to take this off and put it onto the new one.
Yes, that's right. We're gonna have to swap over some parts. Okay, so I'm just taking a closer look at this gasket here where we know it was leaking. Okay. Notice this. Okay, notice this part of it. See how there's like dusty oil right there? You can tell oil's been accumulating here for a bit.
It's not on that side.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. You don't see it over here. You definitely don't see it here so much, but you see it right here. You see a sign of oil leak. This gasket looks like it's flattened out, and I'm feeling this right now. It's perfectly smooth. I'm gonna pull this gasket out of the housing and see if it's like crusty, because that's one thing. So they get crusty and they also flatten, and you can tell this is so flat.
The new one looks a lot better than this one.
Yes, and look, let me get you another view of this. See how flat that is? See that? That is so flat. No wonder this thing was leaking.
All this oil accumulation on these sides, and I'm not.
Yeah, see that? This thing is just caked in oil. Okay, let me get the new part. It's over here. This is my new gasket.
See, look at that.
See how it actually...
It's not flat at all.
Yeah, it's not flat at all.
Oh, it does have a filter in it. Nice.
Wow. Yep.
The filter and everything.
Yeah, we know why this thing was leaking. That gasket was just completely flattened out. And honestly, now that I see that...
It's probably the gasket that is all probably the only thing that needs replaced.
Yeah, now that I see that, maybe I would have actually gambled it with only getting this gasket. This job is easy enough. It really wasn't that hard to do. You really could probably get away with just throwing a gasket on and not getting a whole brand new part, because this thing is kind of expensive. So yeah, one thing to consider. Okay, now we got a really good view of down here. Now that we got the oil filter housing removed, there is so much oil that just spilled out from there. Look at that. You can tell that the oil's been accumulating here for a bit because of all of that dust that is like, it's like dust mixed in with the oil. It's just caked in there. Yeah, that's pretty bad. See how we know what was leaking? So we're gonna vacuum this out. We're gonna clean this area as good as we can. Get all that dust cleaned out. I have a shop vacuum, and so that's what we're gonna use to do it. So this part has been cleaned off. We did as good of a job as we could, just cleaning up all the oil that was down there, just vacuuming it out and cleaning it out. I used this air sprayer, and I sprayed every single one of those bolt holes and also the part where the dowel pins go in. You have to do that. If you crank down these bolts with oil or any type of liquid in those holes, you're going to crack the metal. You're going to break your engine doing that. So you have to remember that step. And then, you know, after you blow those holes out, you have to do one final wipe down on the metal, on the aluminum, just to clean up the gasket surface one last time. All right, so we're just swapping over this hose onto the new housing. That's a T30, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yep, T30. And we are not replacing these O-rings. We really need to. But when we bought the part, we didn't know what O-rings we needed. We just got the housing, and I guess we're going to reuse these. Yeah, we'll just wipe these clean as good as we can, and then we'll lube them up with oil before putting it in to the new one.
Do I need to lube this up, or should I just put it on?
You want to lube it up.
Lube it up, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, just get some oil on that O-ring. One.
So we got oil on it.
If we got oil on our O-ring.
Straight in.
I don't know what the torque spec on this is. I would guess it's 10 Newton meters, but it's not like it's a gasket sealing surface thing, and so it's not as critical. We'll probably just do 10 Newton meters and call it good.
Alright, so this is just gonna go back in. Remember, this comes on this side. So see if we can orient that down. Just start on that side. Awesome. That is aligned. Yep, we're all aligned. And make sure before you put your bolts in, make sure these are on as well.
Oh yeah, good catch. Is there just the one, or is there multiple?
There's one right here.
Uh-huh.
And then one on the other side. I don't know if you can see that. Just this one right here. Right there. See? One right here, and one right there, straight down.
I'm having a hard time seeing it. Okay, I see it now.
See
Yep.
it? Yeah.
Right there, that's our second one.
Yeah, they're just holding tabs for this black right here, so.
Okay, and then did you know, are all of those bolts the same?
Yeah, they're all these bolts, I believe, are the same size. Yeah, they're all the same size.
They're all the same? Okay. So I guess at this point, the torquing procedure, it's not too complicated, but you do have to torque this thing in stages, in steps. The first step is going to be putting all 6 bolts in there and just bottoming them out. But you don't tighten them at all for the first stage. one thing I almost forgot about is that oil hose that goes, I guess not oil hose, but that hole that goes into the turbo where the hose goes into. You want to clean that out. Clean that up before you put this thing back together.
Lubed this up already.
Yep. Yeah, we lubed up our O-ring. We're just gonna throw that bolt in. I don't have a torque spec for this, but I'm just gonna do 10 Newton meters. I don't think it's gonna be an issue to do that. All right, that one's in. Yeah, next step is gonna be just,
The 6 bolts on bottom.
yes, that's right. Throw those 6 bolts in and then do not tighten them at all. Just bottom them out.
Where's that?
You looking for the magnet or?
Yeah.
Here we got our magnet tool. Getting it down there.
And make sure your holder, it goes through the top hole.
Yep, we got like a bracket right there. That uses the same bolt. You don't want to miss that.
Okay. The hard one in the back. And the other side of the bracket. Let's see if we can get that in. There we go. Last bolt, the easiest one.
All of these bolts are in. Now we need to begin the torquing sequence.
All right, so we're gonna tighten these bolts. We're gonna do it in the order of this one first. It's gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we're gonna tighten them by going 5 Newton meters in the pattern. Then we're gonna go 8 Newton meters in the pattern. And then we're gonna turn every single one 90 degrees, so a quarter turn in the same pattern. So we got our torque wrench spec to 5. We're gonna go to the first bolt. Got that in the 5. Then come on to the second bolt, which is pretty much in a cross pattern. So you put it across.
Yeah, and stage 1 says tighten them by hand. Maybe we didn't tighten these enough, but you know, it's fine.
Okay, so this one we're gonna get to 5 on this one. That's 1, 2, 3. Just gonna top right. Yeah, and I could have done more on these hand tight. Okay. On 5. And come to your fourth bolt, the bottom left. Let's just straight down there. Ooh. That's 5.
It'll be fine.
Yeah, it's barely over.
Yeah, the next spec is going to be 8 Newton meters, so.
Yeah. And then you come to your fifth one. And be careful to watch. That one goes to 5.
Yeah, 5 Newton meters is a very low spec.
And then come to your last bolt, very top. Then do that one to 5. And you're pretty much just going to repeat this sequence, doing it again at 8 Newton meters and then 90 degrees after. We're going to set it to 6. Or no, 8. We're going to go 8 Newton meters. I don't know if you can see that. And then you just start the sequence again. So you go to bolt 1, which is the middle top left. Oops, sorry. Get that down. Tighten it to 8. And then go to bolt 2, bottom right. Torque that to 8. And then go to bolt 3, top right. Go 8. Bolt 4, bottom left. 8. Bolt 5, middle right. 8. And then very top left bolt, I guess the very just top bolt is the 6th one. Go to 8. And then you repeat this process again, but now you just do 1/4 of a turn.
Yep. So we're going to have to change our torque wrench. We have a torque wrench that can do torquing and it can do angles. So we just do this. Oh, that's not right. Maybe it was this one. There it is. Angle zeroing. Actually, we have to set it on the ground. For some reason, this thing doesn't work unless you set it on the ground. All right, we set it on the ground, and then
Hold the angle. So we're gonna go 90 degrees.
Let's see, is it? Yep, okay, we're 90 degrees. Okay, so now we're good to do the next one.
Start at bolt 1 again.
Cut.
Okay. So bolt 1. Okay. Just go 90 degrees.
I hate angle
I
torquing.
know. Okay, there you go, 90.
And then one thing too, before you go on to the next bolt, make sure it's zeroed the angle.
Yeah, see.
Okay, and then now go ahead.
Okay, so that bolt 1 is done for good. We're done with that bolt.
Yep.
Now we're gonna go again.
Yep. Okay, and it did reset.
Just gonna go 90. That bolt's done. Bolt 3. Bolt 4. Oh, no, this is not like 91. I'm just kidding. Bolt 5. Let's go 90. And then the final bolt, bolt 6. Put a 90 on this one, and we're done. Okay, that finishes tightening all the bolts. You got the 7 bolts. You have this line hooked up.
You mean 6 bolts?
6 bolts. This one being the 7th.
Oh, that's right. Yep,
Yeah.
that's right.
And then now we're just gonna hook this hose back up, and then this, and then we're done. We'll do that next.
All right, so we're going to spray this area clean as good as we can, get all the oil cleaned up. We have our air chuck. You can't really do the air chuck when this thing is off because you're gonna get dirt inside of your engine and that's gonna be terrible. So yeah, we're just gonna clean this area as good as we can just with the air chuck. And then we're gonna be mindful to not blow any dirt inside of that part. That's gonna be a big deal. We might end up blocking that. We might just
We put this on and then blow it, honestly, because it's just a line.
Maybe we will. We're going to get this covered up and then we're just going to blow this area out, just clean it up as good as we can. But I mean, the bulk of the job is done at this point. Just clean up and then wrap up. That's all it is.
Okay, so we're just putting back together the lines. So this will come plug into right here. And then this, remember when we had to maneuver it because it clicks in down here? We have to maneuver it back in. So hopefully this is easier than when we got it out.
Yes, and that O-ring down there, we wiped it clean and then we lubricated it with oil. We did not replace it because we didn't know the part number when we were ordering parts, but you definitely want to replace that O-ring.
Just so I can kind of see how to angle this. Come back. Also, you do have to orient this the right direction when you're putting it back in. I'm going to get a screwdriver to push this in. This is going in very well. I'm just trying to push that into place. Don't cut it. So you pretty much orient this so that you can go in the hole, and then I use this screwdriver to push the back of it and to push it all the way in. And then we just tighten these bolts and then call it good. And these are just the 10 millimeter.
Yep. We don't have a torque spec on these, but judging by the size of the bolts, we'll just do.
Oh wait, these are the T30s.
Yeah, they're 230s. They're smaller bolts, and so I'm just going to do 10 Newton meters.
Okay, that's up. And then just reattach this hose. This just goes in, clicks. Okay, so now I just check. We got these lined up, going good. This comes in. And then now we just need to rehook this up.
And I guess, let's see.
But in order to do this, let's see if we actually might be able to. Yeah, so it's not going to fit because of the oil filter cap. So you have to take this off and then put this in place. So,
And I just realized that thing that I was trying to block off, keep clean, nothing goes down there. There's another one on this side too. Literally, it's nothing. So that's kind of funky.
thing that started it all. I hate that we have to take this off.
Well,
It's like if it moves any of that around. Okay, with the new one. Just don't drop it. Okay, now carefully put this in. And then before I even do any of that, I'm gonna put this cap back on just to avoid anything getting inside.
yeah, that's a good idea. You don't want that getting dirty.
And this torques at 25 Newton meters.
Yeah, I would torque it right now because you don't want to forget to torque it. That'd be really dumb.
I agree. Okay, I do have the torque.
We're good.
We're just gonna torque this to 25 or 26. Yeah, so we're hitting 25 right there. So this is torqued on, that's good. Then we're just gonna put back these 10 millimeters on the wastegate. Apply those. This thing already slips back on. I'm going to tighten these 10s first. regular tight on those. That's what that is, this regular tight. I'm just kidding. Okay. So those are good. And then now, the hardest part of the job, we gotta put this back on. So this, you just put it in on one side, push down for it to go over, and then it should just clip in, but make sure you push down so it actually clips.
Oh, is it not clipped in all the way?
Yeah, it's not clipped in all the way.
Oh, it's not.
Yeah, so you definitely want to make sure this is clipped, otherwise, see, it just comes off. There we go. So if it doesn't go down all the way, just lift this up so that it can make its way. And then everything's put back together, and we just need to do the heat shield. And we'll cover the heat shield. So, oh, that was right. Make sure this is oriented. And then remember that one clip that we took off at the beginning. Make sure this gets put back on, just because it was held. And the several ones go up front. It's just a 13. Torque spec on these is just pretty good.
For real, huh? Just pretty good.
And then we're dry. And then this just clips back on. And you're good.